Hello, soulmate. Hello, soulmate. You're welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, thanks for stopping by and please consider subscribing. Okay, so this is the pieces that we made from our bustier. Okay, the princess bustier we did. I'll leave the link of that video in the description box. Okay, so now to make our 12 pieces blouse, like I said, every bustier that we make is 6 pieces. So to make it 12 pieces, I will be dividing that side front into two. Okay, so you measure that and then you get the midpoint. You can just use your discretion, okay, however you want the style to come out. Okay, the pieces to come out, you can just measure it and cut it out. But for this one, I'm using the midpoint for the side front, and I've marked that line. I'll cut it out and that'll be it for that side front. Okay, now so these pieces that we have here, when you cut them unfold, of course it will come out unfold. When you cut them unfold, there will be two pieces to each of this pattern that we have here, and then you will add your seam allowance. Okay, so we have the side front one and the side front two, and you will do well to notch all the lines that you have there. Okay, because we are making this 12 pieces blouse with a godet, so I'll be going inwards with 3/4 inch to give more room to the godet so it won't be so narrow. So I'm going in at the edge there with 3/4. On all the pieces I'll be doing that, including the side, the side front. So I'll connect it to meet the half length like I'm doing now. I'm connecting it to meet the half length, and I'll cut out this excess. Okay, I'll cut it out. Like I said, it is to give more room to the godet. So when I've cut this out, I'll move over to the back bodies, and I'll do the same thing to the back bodies. Moving over to the back panels, for the side back, just the way I did to the front panels, I'm dividing that side back into two, both at the hip line and at the half length there. And then I'll just use my discretion and then connect it to meet the arm curve. For yours, you can choose to measure, but I'm just using my discretion from the half length. I'm connecting it to meet the arm curve. So cutting that out, that gives us 3 pieces for one side of the back panel. And of course, we'll be cutting this into 2. So for the back panels, we'll be having 6 pieces, and the front panel will be having 6 pieces. That makes it 12 pieces. Just the way I cut out that 3/4 inch from the from the hip line there, from the blouse length, I'm taking out 3/4 inch. Okay, just the way I did it to the front panel, I'll be connecting that to meet the half length. Now in this case is the back half length here, so I'll connect it to meet the back half length, and I'll be cutting all of them out. Like I said before, it is to give the cordet room for it, to give more room for the cordet so they won't look narrowed. So I'm going to cut this, for the side front. But when I get to the middle back, I'll be using about 1 inch there. Okay, I'll be using about 1 inch. Sorry, my camera didn't pick this part. I've had someone complain about my camera not picking this part. Please, I'm still work in progress, so I'll work on it to serve you better. There's no me without you on this YouTube. Okay, so I'm cutting out all the excess that I have. Like I said, on the back panel there, you can see that where I cut it is on the back center line. Okay, so I slanted it to meet the back half length, and I cut it out. I did the same thing to the side pieces that we have. So the next thing after cutting this will be to cut it on the fabric. Now remember, this pattern, I didn't add any seam allowance to it. So when you're adding the seam allowance to the pieces, remember to add the side seam allowance, okay? And then you notch. It will be very handy when you're sewing the godet to the blouse. See, I have placed it on the fabric, okay, and I added my seam allowance. For the middle front, we'll be having a zipper there, okay. We'll be adding a zipper, so I added about 1.5 inches to that middle front. And then there's a curve, okay, from the hem there. There's a curve to somewhere up the blouse front, somewhere up, there's a curve from the hem there. So I've drawn out that curve and I'm cutting this out. I'll cut the pieces out, and the same way I'll do to the back pieces. So for the godet, I'm measuring from the half length that I have there to the hem. Now remember, the hem I added about 2 inches, okay? So that makes it 9.5 inches. So cutting the godet, I'm using this lining as my pattern. So I've folded it diagonally, and then I'm just creating an allowance there about 1/2 inch, okay? So now from the apex I have there, I'll be measuring that inches I had measuring it from the half length to the hem. I had 9.5 inches. So I'm measuring that 9.5 inches diagonally to create an arc. Okay. I have a tutorial on my channel on how to, sew a godet to a mermaid skirt. So you can equally watch that, to have a better understanding of how this godet works. I'll leave the link in the description box. Okay. So now I've cut out the arc and I added my seam allowance, that 1/2 inch. Okay, and that's what I'll be using to cut for for all the godets. These are the pieces I have for the front panels, okay? So I've cut them on the fabrics and I added all my seam allowance, the hem allowance, okay? Now, when I was cutting this pattern, when I was drafting it, I didn't add any hem allowance. So I'm done with the front pieces and I'll move to the back pieces. So the same allowance I added, but for the middle back, I didn't have to add any more because already I had added this zipper allowance. Okay, so for the middle back there won't be need for this joining, but I just like to observe that indentation. Okay, so I have my back flat. So these are the godets. For the fabric, I added soft interface, and the lining part I added the hard gum. Okay, now there's always this bubble when you're using that hard gum, so I like to make it on lining, so I'll have a smooth look on the fabric and you won't know what's going on inside. So to cut it, to start sewing, I'll mark the midpoint, the half length I have on the pattern on the fabric. I'm marking the half length that I have on the pattern and I'm marking it on the fabric. Okay, so that will be as a guide when I'm sewing this. Okay, I will have to make it from that point to make it equal, and then you know that you're just sewing everything equal. Now for that arm cuff, we added allowance. You can do well to trim out if you have any excess, but for this point, that half length, everything has to align with all the pieces. Okay, so I'm using that part that I notch. I'll mark. Now you can do well to notch or you mark just like I did. Okay, these are guides. These are guides. What you have on your pattern, you replicate it on your fabric. So now I've sewn out one part of the pieces, okay, the middle front to one of the side fronts. And this is what I have. That's the cup part. And I left, that part that I notch, okay, I left it. That's where I stopped the sewing. So you see that part that is opening, that's where the godet comes in. So now you will use your godet and sew right side facing the right side so that the interface will be inside. I'm using 1/2 inch. I'll sew it to where I have stop stitch, where the opening ends. okay, and turn the other side as well. So like I said, you have to pin. It makes your work easier. So I'll turn the other side, and then I'll be using 1/2 inch, okay, to sew. I've sewn that godet in there. So this is what it looks like. I'm yet to iron this. So you see where the apex is. Okay, so you can do well to notch, but I don't like to, really notch. Okay, because when you sew well, everything will relax. That's how I was taught. So, but you can notch if you're comfortable with notching. Okay, so see the godet, and that's what I'll be doing to all the pieces of this blouse. So I'm done sewing the back panel and the front panel. So this is the front and that's the cup. For the zipper, I'll be loosening that middle point. But before I loosen it, I will have to take out my seam allowance. Okay, so I'll measure that. I'll measure now. This is what I measure. I measure the whole of the front and the back, and whatever I have as excess, that's what I'll divide by 4 to know that's my seam allowance. I'll do the same thing to the waist and do the same thing to the hip. But in this case, because we're using godets, there's no point. So what I have as excess on the waist, I'll just take it the same thing down to the hip. So I'll be using this trimming. I wanted to use this trimming before, but after sewing it, it was just so everywhere because it's so thick. So I decided to go with another trimming that you'll be seeing later. Okay, so I'm just showing how the trimming will run, and of course we'll have a final look of this blouse. So now I've added a Peter Pan collar. Oh, this video would have been so long, so I decided to make that in a different video. So I'll leave the link in the description box in case you don't have any idea how to go about a Peter Pan collar. So I had to do the Peter Pan collar to the fabric first before I would turn it with my lining. So we are doing inseam finishing. So exactly what I do to the lining is what I did to the fabric, and then I'll bring in the lining. I'll sew that zipper part, okay, so that you'll not see the rough edge of the zipper. I'll sew the zipper. Be careful not to sew it on the teeth. I'll sew the zipper, the lining, and the fabric together, and I'll take it all the way around. Make sure all the joining meets, okay, for the godet and for the seam allowance. It makes your work more relaxed. There it is. I have sewn it and I top stitched and ironed. So you see it looking very flat and very neat. Okay, so for the trimming that has to run all the way through the zipper, I'll place it underneath the Peter Pan collar and I'll run it through all the hems. Okay, from the zipper there, I run all the hems to the other zipper. Okay, so it runs all the way, meaning you have to have enough of this trimming. For this particular trimming, I used 2 packs of it. Okay, 2 packs for it, and that's just what was enough. But if you're doing this trimming for the back joinings, for the back joinings as well, you will need more than that, those 2 packs. Okay, so now I'll do the trimming first before I'll turn my neck. So I've sewn everything and it's looking so beautiful and it's giving that rich auntie vibes. So look at it. And then I've turned my neck with the lining. Sorry, I didn't show this part, but you just go through your armhole and you turn your neck. I have other videos that I've turned the neck. Please, I'll leave them in the description box. Okay, so I've turned the neck and I stop stitch and iron. That's my Peter Pan collar. Okay, and everything is set. So for the sleeve part, okay, I'm trimming out the excess that I have around my armhole. Make sure the linings are lined, okay, and trim out all the excess we have. So I'll just be sewing. I'll sew the lining together with the fabric, okay, all the joining aligning, okay, so that you will not have any twist in your garment. So I'll just sew it together and then I will insert the sleeve. The sleeve is another tutorial, so I'll be leaving the link in the description box that you have to watch that separately. Okay, so When you're adding your sleeves, you have to ensure that the armhole that you have there, like I said, it has to be half of your bust measurement. The bust measurement I'm working with is 43. So I'll measure round the armhole and it has to be half of that 43 just for me to be sure that the client will wear this garment without any hitch. Okay. Okay, so if this video adds any value to you at all, give me a thumbs up, subscribe and share. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next video.